Hey guys, it's election season out here in the UK, and I, for one, am very excited. It's the first time I'm going to be voting in the UK elections. I've been reading over a couple of the party manifestos. I haven't fully decided on who I'm going to be voting for, but I wanted to respond to some of the rhetoric that I've heard coming from Mr. Jeremy Corbyn, and it seems to be a theme within the Labour Party, and it's a common theme that I encounter sometimes in my political discussions socially and elsewhere. Now, I have full respect for Mr. Jeremy Corbyn. I understand he's not an economist, he's a politician, and he's saying things that he feels will appeal to, his voting base, the things that they want to hear. But, for me, it's something that I've actually grown tired of trying to explain to people, so I thought I'll just do a video to kind of highlight it. And it is the idea that somehow that the wealthiest families within the UK have done tremendously well financially since the crash of 2008. But Corbyn and the Labour Party are trying to conflate that somehow that has a direct correlation to low wages amongst the working class. Now, for one thing, the conflating of wealth and income is, it's just a false dichotomy. A person could have a great deal of wealth without having any kind of income whatsoever. For instance, a person may have a huge collection of artwork or clocks, watches, or even stockpiles of precious metals, and at the same time, without leasing out any of this stuff or lending it out in some kind of capacity, they're not going to get any income from this. Similarly, a person might have vast acres of land, and supposedly they're not subletting out, they will have a great deal of wealth, meaning the value of the land is accounted to them as wealth, without actually having any kind of income. Now, the reverse is also true, where a person can have little to no wealth, or even negative wealth, and still accumulate a very high income. A good example of that would be maybe some student has gone off to university to study to become a doctor, and maybe they specialized in something like plastic surgery, and they will accumulate a great deal of student debt and from their housing and whatever, so they will actually have negative wealth. But at the time they enter the workspace and they start to offer out their services, they may in turn receive a great income from the services that they provide. Now, again, I'm not getting into the finer details. The only thing I'm trying to highlight is that wealth and income are not interchangeable. They're not the same thing. And people who try to conflate the accumulation of wealth as some kind of justification for low income earners, it's a false dichotomy. It's a fallacy in that regard. Now, I'm not saying that the two cannot have correlation. A person who maybe accumulates a great deal of rental properties or maybe dividend producing shares and mutual funds can in turn receive a very high income. But again, I just want to point out that the two are not necessarily the same. So look out for politicians that try to conflate these two. I've heard it from Jeremy Corbyn. I've heard it from politicians in the Americas and even in my home country, suggesting that somehow the accumulation of wealth is somehow robbing people of earnings potential. And it's just clearly a fallacy. The second point that I want to say on this is something that suggests that the amount of wealth that has been accumulated by the wealthy somehow inhibits other people from accumulating wealth for themselves. It's what's known in economics as the fixed pie fallacy, suggesting that the rich get rich and they somehow deny the poor from ever becoming rich. And again, this is a complete fallacy. The amount of wealth that is out there in the world is by no means fixed. There's always new companies that are being created, new products and services, and new items that people want for sale. So there's always a continuous creation of items that create brand new wealth. So a family like the DuPont family in the Americas that own tremendous shares in the DuPont chemical company, the fact that they own tremendous shares in the DuPont company has nothing to do with preventing anybody from accumulating shares in a newer company such as Apple or Google or Facebook, or even with that said, accumulating shares in the same DuPont company, unless the family decides to take the company private. There's nothing to stop anybody from individually accumulating those shares. Similarly with the issue of land. So yes, you might suggest there's a limited amount of land that is out there, But even if there is a limited amount of land, there isn't any particular limit on what can be constructed upon that land. And you can create value out of, new architectural buildings, new construction, new rental income, new rental properties. And again, as humanity has continued to develop and as wealth is created literally out of nothing, and countries become more wealthy, the opportunities to create wealth become greater and greater. The only hindrance to that is not from the wealthy in and of themselves, it's in the wealthy lobbying the political elite to use government fiat to try and bring obstacles in the way of entrepreneurs and people trying to accumulate wealth. So when they use the state, for instance, to make it very difficult for property buyers to get good rental rates, or they jack up the taxes on the small business, or any of those types of actions, yes, those are definitely destructive to the wealth and the ability for the working class to earn money and improve their circumstance in life. But it is the government power in that scenario that is destructive. If the government did not intervene in any of these circumstances, no matter what the wealthy, possess or what they do or what they say, they really can't hinder people from accumulating wealth unto themselves. So guys, I may do another video expounding on this greater. For me, it's a little bit of a concern when I hear these fallacies coming from the political arena. I know they're trying to score political points, even though then it's not really based in a lot of reality. But at no point is politics ever been based in facts, figures, and reality. As we know, people try to appeal to the emotions of people, and I understand that Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party is using this with a emotional resonance, because a lot of people are struggling. So I completely get that. But for me, I just wanted to speak up about it a little bit. So guys, I hope you learned something from this. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to share this video with somebody that, maybe is involved in the political arena. They can disagree with me all they want. That's fine. Leave a comment below. We'll have a discussion. And thanks again for watching, guys. Take care.